What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. I am Robin. Iconic as he is, Freddy Krueger. He's got a lot of movies and spin-off with Jason. Don't forget about his TV series. We've got our own rankings. We've got the way we put them in order. We've got our favorites, what scores we give them, but everyone's scores mushed up together gives birth to an IMDB score. Gives a birth to a little baby score, which is the official score on IMDb. So let's have a look what way everything Freddy in the franchise is ranked. What is last? Coming in at last place is Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare from 1991. Whoa, a 4.7. You're all ranked at that low and got a 4.7. Seriously? I would at least give this a 5.2. It wasn't as bad as what everyone thinks. And I'm sure if you've ranked it as bad as it is, I'm pretty sure you still put it on in your Freddy box set and have a watch of it all the time. I'm pretty sure you do. So don't say that it's a 4.7. Get on this IMDb, fucking whatever you're fucking called. Bump the rankings up a little bit. It's not that bad. It's actually a decent story. Where it's the last lot of kids. Everyone's dead in this town now, and freaking Elm Street is only a few kids left. I think it was a damn good story. There was a little bit too much comedy put into it, and yeah, they tried to fuck the story up a little bit. But in the end, it had some good kills. It was a good movie. It wasn't the worst in my opinion, so it sucks that it's down the bottom there, but this is what all yous voted. Next we got the 1989 Nightmare on Elm Street, The Dream Child. Number 5 only gets 5.0 out of 10, and this wasn't bad. I'd give it a 5.2, 5.3. It's another one that I have no issues with. It's got some freaking good kills in it as well. And I understand why a lot of people probably would have ranked this low and not given it a high score. But honestly, just a 5 for Nightmare on Elm Street 5, I think is just a little bit too low. I think everyone needs to just bump it up to a 5.5. It needs to definitely be higher than the next on the list that I can see. But do you think it really should be this low? I don't think so. Next up, we've got the Nightmare on Elm Street 2010, a reboot remake. This gets a 5.2, and in my opinion, this one only gets a 3.2. This is the bottom of the barrel for me. I don't like this one. They just go too deep in this one where the whole pedophile thing and the children, at least in all the other ones, he's a child killer, which is not a fucking good thing as well. We shouldn't even glorify Freddy really when we think about it, but Freddy was a child killer. This one it's a little bit too pedophile accused in this one, Freddy. So kind of put me off a little bit. The kills were awesome. The picture of this movie looks great as well. Everything about it looked okay, but just Freddy just didn't do it for me. And I didn't like the ending either. There was a few things in this movie I did like, don't get me wrong. But this just shouldn't have been remade with a different Freddy. I know we have to eventually. If they do another franchise, they're gonna have to try and find another Freddy. But I don't know where they go or how they do this. I'm glad I'm not sitting in their shoes for this one. It'd be easier for Friday the 13th because anyone can put on a hockey mask and be a killer. But for Freddy, fucking hard job to take over Robert Englund's spot. So this only gets a 3.2 for me, not a 5.2. I think this should be rated a lot lower, but this is what you've rated it. Next up, we've got Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge, 1985. This one gets a 5.4. Honestly, I'd probably only give it a 4.8. This would be my second worst one. It's not that great of a movie. We needed more Freddy in this, more kills, more violence. It just didn't. Another one that didn't do it for me. But in saying that, it's better than the remake. A 5.4, I think, is a bit generous. I think maybe we'll go down to a 5. We'll go down to a 5. But in saying that, when I say it's not my favourite, I'll still chuck it on and I'll still have a watch of it and all that. So you can't just watch one Freddy movie. You've got to watch all of them in a row when you've got the box set. So when you go to watch the original, you chuck them all on in the end. But this one, they just could have put a little bit more oomph in it for a sequel. Don't get me wrong, had some good kills. Had an okay story, but I really did not like the ending, and I'm an endings person. Next up, we've got Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, 1988. This one gets a 5.6, which I think this one should get about a 6, I think. We should bump up the ratings on this. I'd really like to see this one go up a little bit higher on the rankings there. And I love it how the crew returned from the third movie, having the Dream Warriors return. I love the continuation of the storyline. That's why I liked 5 as well, kind of the continuation of the story. That's really a trilogy of 3, 4, and 5. But number 4, it's got some good kills in it. I think it's got a good story. I think it's pretty funny as well. Everything about it, I love. I love Part 4, Dream Master. What do you think? Do you think Dream Master should have got more of a score than 5.6? I'm thinking a 6 out of 10. Or do you think that 5.6 is fair enough? But you all voted. This is what your scores make it in the end. Next up, we've got 2003's Freddy vs. Jason, a 5.7. Man, I give this at least a 7.5 out of 10. I love this movie. I think it's great. I think everything about it was fantastic. I love the fight between Freddy and Jason. It was fucking cool. It was a good story. Freddy wants those kills. He wants everyone to remember him. He wants everyone to be scared. Brings Jason back. I love this movie. This movie deserves a higher ranking than freaking 5.7. What was everyone thinking when they were only giving it a fucking 5.7, man? Come on. What do you think? Does this deserve higher than a 5.7? If you do think so, get on IMDB and fucking vote. Put your scores in. Put your rankings in. I hate how people jump on these sites and put like a 1 even without freaking watching the movie because they just hate the franchise. You just don't do that to movies. Like, if you haven't watched it, don't fucking give it a ranking. Alright, 4 left. Next up, we got the TV series between 1988 and 1990, Freddy's Nightmares. This one gets a 6.2, Freddy's Nightmares. And I tell you what, I've only ever seen the beginning where Freddy, the backstory of Freddy is the first episode, I'm pretty sure. But I've never seen this because I can't get my hands on a copy of it. I can't get my hands on a copy of this to own. I'd love to own this. I'd love to watch all of it. I know Adzi, who does the movie draft with me as well, he'd love to have a copy of this as well if anyone could bring it out and have it at a decent price, not all these fucking jacked up prices on eBay. But this is something I'd love to watch. Maybe I'll have to download it in the end if I can't find a copy for myself at a reasonable price. But 6.2, it intrigues me to want to watch it. It really intrigues me to want to watch this. And I know it's a different story each week. And Freddy just hosts it and introduces the episodes, I guess, like Tales from the Crypt. So I'm really looking forward to watching this one. Let me know in the comments if you have watched this series and if it is definitely a 6.2 or not. Because I don't want to spend some big bucks on the DVD, and it's a pile of garbage. Don't want to do that, but here's what it is. So next up is Wes Craven's New Nightmare, 1994. And I tell you what, when I saw this when I was young, I hated this movie. The 7th movie, I hated this movie. Thought it was shit. I thought, why the fuck is Freddy looking like he is? What is going on? I didn't understand when I was younger because you didn't watch it for the stories when you're a kid. Well, probably when you're a kid you shouldn't be watching all these, but my brother put them on. He was 10 years older than me, so I was watching these at freaking 7 and 8 and all that, so probably mum and dad didn't know what was going on there. But I thank my brother for letting me watch horror movies. But I didn't like it back then. But over the past 5 years, re-watching it, and I've watched it a fair few times, this gets a 6.4 on here on the Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I give it a 9 out of 10. Back when I was younger, when I didn't like it. That was when I was in teenage years, when this one came out after loving all the other ones when I was really young. But this one, man, I just didn't rate it when I was a teenager because I was pissed off. I was just a pissed off teenager, man, that freaking wanted the old school Freddy, not this fucking new Freddy. And even though it was still Robert Englund, I didn't know. But all I had was Fangoria. All I had was Fangoria to tell me stuff. No internet when this came out. 6.4, I think that's definitely should be higher than that. I give it a 9 out of 10. What do you think? Do you think it's worthy of a 9 out of 10? I definitely think it's worth a 9 out of 10. So number 2 on the list is the 1987 Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. This one is a 9 out of 10. Is a 9 out of 10 for me. It gets 6.6 out of 10 here. So people need to bump up their scores on here to help this get risen up as a classic horror movie, because it is a fantastic horror movie. This one's in the psychiatric hospital. And oh man, I love horror movies that are in psychiatric hospitals. I fucking love it. I don't know why, but I love every second of it. The kills in this as well are just freaking insane. The overdose, that chick that gets overdosed, what a rush. And the veins, the veins of the, oh mate, everything about this is fantastic. A 6.6 though, no, come on. It's definitely a 9 out of 10 in my opinion. It's almost a perfect horror movie. It's actually almost a perfect horror movie, like dead set. But that's what you've rated it. 6.6 and 91k people have voted, so maybe if we can get another 10k worth of people to vote it, freaking 9 out of 10. Let's see how much it goes up. That would be interesting. That'd be interesting. And first, of course, is always going to be first, is A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984, the first movie. This one gets 7.4 out of 10. To me, this is a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 movie. It's a perfect horror movie. Everything about it was perfect. A lot of people thought the ending was silly and stupid, but guess what? They did a few different takes, and it depends what fucking ending you're gonna watch. But in my opinion, it's a 10 out of 10. I think it's a perfect horror movie. I think 265,000 people have voted to get it to 7.4. 265,000 people. So if we can get another 5 to 10,000 people to vote it as a 10 out of 10, that might bump it up to an 8.4, which would be pretty good. So if you're watching this, go on IMDB and freaking bump up the scores, eh? Do us a favor and bump up the scores. So what do you think of the Nightmare on Elm Street ranking system there? Me personally, I wouldn't have Freddy's Dead last. It would be the remake, reboot, and then number 2. Then pretty much everything is in proper order, I would think. Just putting those 2 at the end. I love number 4, and I did see on Planet CC's channel, he's got a VHS of part 5, part 4 or part 5. It says it's uncut, unrated, or R-rated. I have to ask him. I'm looking forward to talking to him eventually, and he said it goes up an extra star. I want to see this version of it. Why isn't there a copy of it? How come he's only got a copy of it? I want to see this copy of it. I don't know. What do you think of that rankings there? I think it's pretty good. The scores should be a little bit higher for some of them, but yeah. I just bumped those other 2 down to the bottom and put part 5 and Freddy's Dead above them. And then you've got your rankings that I would have done. In saying that, Freddy's Nightmare wouldn't be on my list because I haven't watched it, so I can't rank it, I can't rate it, but I'd love to watch it. I'd fucking love to watch it. I'd love to hear everyone's opinions about Freddy's Nightmares as well. I'd really love to hear everyone's thoughts and opinions on it, but I haven't seen it, so I can't vote it, but pretty good IMDb. Pretty good. You're almost on the ball there. It just depends on what everyone votes. Like, subscribe, do what the fuck you want. I'll be back next time regardless with whatever video I do. Make sure you say hi to your mum for me because I'm coming back. See you next time. See you.